The number one thing I'm looking for since Elon is the Doge president, Michael Saylor, has become the greatest Bitcoin advocate. Who will be that for XRP, XLM, and some of the other altcoins? Like now, you need a coin ambassador or institution to push this to higher highs. So I'm keeping my eyes on who is going to be the catalyst, whether it's an organization. Like, we have to be very honest, man. Going back to the money conversation, which bothers some of you, this cabinet bought the most pro-crypto government we've ever seen in history.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's why I think you have to, it's a risk-reward ratio.
Yep.
You have to have exposure to altcoins because anything can happen. And if crypto does take over the world, Bitcoin does reaches $1 million, Bitcoin is not going to be the only coin. A lot of these other coins are going to rise as well. So from a risk-reward ratio, I mean, it would make sense to have altcoins, especially like, the Ethereums of the world, probably XRP and Solana. XLM was one of these countries that IBM was involved with years ago. So they had institutional backing as well. Stellar Lumens, this was 6 years ago.
7 years ago, yep.
Dogecoin, I don't still wouldn't see a need for Dogecoin in the real world, but
Vivek may make a reason for. That's the interesting part. We're seeing politicians, like, I think Vivek is coming out with the Doge podcast, which combines government efficiency with the coin. There's early talks of that. For those of you who don't know, you may not like his political leanings, but Vivek was a good business person. Him and Elon are pretty buddy now. So if they find a good enough use case for it, it'll be installed. Yeah. Software will be installed.
You think there's I guess a personality, because we could be a government official, or it could be like Elon Musk, that's strong enough to be a catalyst outside of, obviously, Elon makes sense with Doge and what he's done in the titling. Is there another CEO that could be of a company that could be a catalyst for one of these altcoins?
I mean, I don't think it. I think the altcoin moves as the cryptocurrency industry moves. So I don't think the altcoins really need a champion, because it's like anything else. Like, as Bitcoin gets, people look for returns. As Bitcoin becomes higher, the rate of return is just going to be smaller. Like Mike said, like now, if it gets to 500,000, you could, quadruple your money, but that's not the same as 20 or 30x of your money. So now you start to look downstream. That's the same with stocks, or the same with real estate or anything, right? So as Bitcoin goes and cryptocurrency becomes more accepted, I think that's the champion right there. If he's appointing every single member in his cabinet on the financial side that's been pro-crypto, you would assume that all cryptos would benefit from that, strong ones. But risk-reward ratio, you don't want to risk too much. That was the last thing I was going to say with the risk-reward ratio, is that you have to have some exposure, because if it works out for you, then you're going to make money. But I mean, you do have to look at the past history. Bitcoin is going to be fine. I don't think Bitcoin.
Yeah, but also Bitcoin needed BlackRock too. It's getting left out of the tale and lore of it. But when Satoshi first created Bitcoin and wrote the code for it, the BlackRock was not factored in. What helped stabilize them was the ETF, and that's why Larry went on that massive crusade and campaign around Bitcoin, and now it's the institutional coin. Cool. Tether, tough, but Doge, XRP, XLM, some of the newer ones that are out, I can see even Microsoft getting behind one in the next 2 or 3 years.
I was actually going to go there, right? Because if you look at all the news, Michael Saylor he's going to, well, he did. We haven't heard the reports that he went to go pitch to Microsoft's board about Bitcoin strategic investment. And so that feels to me, right? Like, if there's not a BlackRock, obviously we know the treasure chest that they have, but a company like Microsoft now becomes even more of a catalyst inside of it. And so you might start seeing huge mega tech companies saying, all right, that worked. Michael Saylor is pitching these, and that it worked for their board. They believed in it. Who's the next person or next company that he goes to and says, all right, here's the investment strategy that I told him. Here's how it can work for your company as well.
Well, I think the companies are good, but countries is better. So when you see El Salvador is already ahead of the trend when they were the first country to actually name Bitcoin as national.
Big facts.
Venezuela as well.
And it's worked out for them. So you're going to start to see more countries having Bitcoin as natural reserves, as tradable currency, as acknowledged currency in their country. And especially, these third world countries, that's an opportunity for them to move up quickly. So that gives it more credibility than anything. If all of these countries start to actually, just like gold, right? All of these countries have vaults of gold, and that helps stabilize the market, and it's one of the reasons why gold is never going to fall, because it's even though it's not currency is not backed by gold, it's still reserves on the highest level possible. So if that starts to be the case, it's already the case. I mean, America already owns a ton of Bitcoin. But if more countries start to really get behind it, then it truly starts to fulfill its prophecy as the new gold. Because that was always the thing. It was supposed to be the world's new gold. The gold standard has been the standard for thousands of years. So if this does become the new gold, and the whole world has to recognize Bitcoin as standard, then there's nothing you can do about it at that point. It's over.
The world currency, like that was and I'm thinking
one world currency.
One world currency. But that, even like when I think of these El Salvador and Venezuela, you think about the GDP of those countries, and I think that's maybe is like part of the strategic plan. Is like,
absolutely,
I'm gonna go after a company that has a larger, right? Microsoft is worth more than El Salvador's GDP.
Absolutely,
worth more than Venezuela's GDP. So if you get those companies and you start to see like where are these companies starting to show up internationally? Like we've been places, and I'm like, they're here. Right.
Yes. Surprisingly, right?
Right. Like they're here too. Okay.
Yep.
Something's happening here. They're starting to put footprints everywhere. Watch how that translation plays, right? Because if you get big companies on board that have, what is it? They'll probably be a $4 trillion company within the next 12 to 16 months.
Yeah.
That type of investment, it just raises the valuation of the entire space, but specifically Bitcoin.
No, Bitcoin's gonna go. I mean, Elon Musk brought billions of Bitcoin years ago for
Tesla.
Bitcoin is gonna go up.
Elon bought something else recently too.
There's a very slim chance
a
very slim chance that Bitcoin goes down over 10 years.
9,000 of them.
Over 10 years, Bitcoin's gonna go up. But
no, we definitely agree 1,000%.
Yeah.
It also goes to show we need a lot more innovation in our governments and those that are leading our economy, because they went from hating the idea of this digital cash network, go see who wrote the white paper before Satoshi, to now adopting a strategy across the board. I mean, and this is why I say everyone is your competitor. If you thought in 2015 your biggest competitor in buying Bitcoin would be Tesla, Michael Saylor, and then maybe Microsoft, you would have said I was high as hell. Now we're in everyone, and BlackRock kind of ushered this in as well with the housing market. Every business is now in the asset hoarding business, because they're uncertain of how the economic climate is going to work out. So they're looking to every other investment vehicle to make sure that the company is stable. It's a really like if I told you in 2009 or 2004 that Bill Gates will be promoting any currency, you would say I was idiotic at best. Now it's just, Michael's openly talking his book and nobody cares. That used to be a no-no.
Yeah, for sure. Well, but we'll see. But yeah, just be careful with, I think you got to have some exposure to altcoins, but in a manner that's not going to hurt you. Something that is not going to, you don't put your life savings into it, but you might want to put some money into it. But then be careful with the other, as you go down the market cap, all of those other ones are just, that stuff you're going to get hurt on.
Yeah.
So be careful with that. Outside the top 10, 5.
Yeah. I would say 4 or 5.
The same thing. Bitcoin Cash, saw this happen before. Like all of these coins, the same coin.
Litecoin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be careful.
Yeah, I'll just quickly want to give them a rundown for the halving. And so the next halving will be in 2028. Here's a percentage growth since Bitcoin started halving in 2012. The first increase since in November 28th, 2012, it went up 9,000%. Right, so it was trading at $12. It went up 9,000%. Second halving was July 6, 2016. It went up 2,900% to approximately around 19,700. That was when we saw everybody got into crypto. It went up to 20,000. Next halving was May 11th, 2020. And from there, it went up 640% to around 64,000, right? This halving that happened April 20th of this year, right? Approximately, it went up 57% to where we see it now at 99,526. I think it got to 99.7 and pulled back. And so the percentages obviously are coming down because the value of Bitcoin is going up. So the next event will be in 2028. They're saying around maybe April or March of that year. And so we can see how this works. Every 4 years, every 4 years, the value is going to increase.
March, right around the time them hedge funds start to throw in the money for the first quarter of the year too. That's interesting.